Hey folks, it's time for TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 163, Intersecting Lines. This is TWiP. Welcome back to another TWiP Pro Photo Critique. I'm your host, Frederick Van Johnson, sitting here with my friend, partner in crime, and fellow nitpicking critiquer, Mr. Troy Miller, over there in frigid, Southern California. It's cold down there, right, Troy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like 95. Yeah.
And 0% humidity down there.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. So we're gonna dive into this thing. We've got 11 images to talk about. Any one stick out more than another in the crop for this week?
There's a couple. Yeah. You and I have talked about them before you hit record. Yes, there's definitely a few in here that I like a lot. So lots of good images though. Good topic. It was very challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good. Well, before we get started, you said there was a little bit of confusion around the topic. So the topic for this one was intersecting lines, right? So what was the confusion?
Well, it was interesting. I was looking at some of the images and I noticed that they used titles like converging lines or, my take on converging lines. And I thought, converging and intersecting, are they the same? And in actuality, they're not. It seems like those are words that we might, replace. But intersecting lines are lines that actually physically cross each other at some point. And converging lines are lines that end together at a point, at a fixed point. So we're not going to be sticklers necessarily on that, but I just thought that was interesting. I had to look it up. I didn't know. So
yes, it's the difference between an intersection and a T intersection, right? This one is
right. Yeah.
This one's converging. That one is intersecting. So.
Yeah.
Well, we're splitting.
I learned something even from the topic I picked.
Look at that. I can't wait to the end of this. So folks that are watching this, stay tuned to the end of this critique, because we're going to reveal the critique for the next critique session, which is going to happen on July 12th. And this is a new one. I think you guys are going to dig it. We'll just leave that cliffhanger there to the end of the show. So you'll have to sit through our yakking on the shots that are in here before we get to it. All right. Are you ready to get started on this?
I am. Yep.
All right, let's dive in. So here is TWiP Pro. And our first shot is from Armando. Last in, first up, Armando Brook for the theme of this week, the cable-stayed bridge near my house in Sao Paulo. Man, I want to go visit Armando.
Yeah, that is such a cool bridge. I can see photographing that a lot. That's got a lot of character. Yeah, it's very, very cool. And what a perfect interpretation of intersecting lines. I love that.
Yeah, it is beautiful. The architecture is, as opposed to some of the, or not as opposed to, but in contrast to some of the other images that are in this week's batch, this is straight architecture, right? This is straight symmetry, architecture, man-made with, I think we talked about this on previous shows, but the idea of pattern interrupted. So you've got all this symmetry, and then you've got a couple of stars, hopefully, maybe those are stars or galaxies, and a moon in there, right? So what do you think about the moon placement? Is the moon... Like, you've shot the moon, you've done some astrophotography. Is it real or is it Memorex?
It's hard to say. It's pretty. I mean, I don't know. What I will say is I'm not a fan of the moon in the shot as much as I would like to be. I feel like it's crowded in that corner, and I love the fact that it's there. Maybe darken it a little bit so it doesn't pop out as much. As much as I love the moon, I really like the bridge. So yeah, it's hard to say. I could see this being a real photograph with the moon in there. I could see that. It could work, but unfortunately, we always question everything, right?
Well, that's the whole purpose of this, right? Is we're questioning stuff. Yeah.
My suggestion for this image though would be to clean up those two little stars. because we don't really see a field of stars. So they just look like little white spots that are sort of interrupting the darkness. And, either add a little bit more space above the moon or drop the moon down a little bit so that it actually feels balanced in that corner. Right now, it feels like it's pressed too far to the top.
Yeah, it does. It's like we say, like the magnetism of the edges of the frame are too close. Yeah, it's pulling it over. It's pulling it out.
Yeah, it's going to suck it in. Yeah, it's going to pull
it.
Out.
Do you think this would it have felt too much like a composite if he had put the moon kind of in the middle here?
Well, yes. I mean, certainly it would have felt like a composite. Now, I'm sure it's possible. The right time of the year, that would be super cool. Unfortunately, I think that you're going to look at it where most of us are going to look at it and go, is that real, or did he drop it in there? Because that's just, I mean, I have tons of shots of the moon during the day over objects, and everybody's like, yeah, that's not real. Like, no, I spent the time. But yes, that would be super cool to get that moon right there in that V, in that little cup.
Yep, that would be cool. Yeah, but I like this too, because we talk about pattern interrupted, right? So this is that pattern interrupted. The symmetry is interrupted by the moon kind of putting more weight on one side than the other, making it more interesting. Right.
And this is the kind of subject that I could see photographing all times of the day. Whether this is a hot subject. This is great.
Yeah, with some crazy clouds back there, or maybe it's shot during the day. Instead of that moon, there's a plane or something. That's
right. Infrared.
Yeah, of course, infrared. How could we forget the infrared? Cool. All right, Armando, thank you for that. Yes. Moving right along. Peter Levshin, aka our resident mental case, shot with his Sony A7R4 at 24mm lens.
Yeah,
look at that. Yeah, what is this? This is a hotel, right? This looks like the inside of a hotel.
I think so. Yeah, this is a hotel looking down at each of the floors. This is one of those kind of images that you have to look at a lot. I feel like it's rotated a bit to the left. I feel like that distant floor, I really want that to be center, but not knowing where he stood, I don't know if that's even possible.
Right. Right.
And for me, at first I'm like, well, I don't really see the intersecting lines, but it's the lights behind the floors.
Oh, these guys in here.
Yeah. Those are your intersecting lines, and then it's sort of got this like Escher-esque 3D sense to it. It's really kind of bizarre.
Yeah. It almost feels like it needs something in here for scale. Like, I don't know if these are people down here, these flecks down there, but like up here, like maybe or up here, like people or something in there, so I could say, oh wow, okay, I get it. I mean, we know what it is, so we can guess that Peter's probably up there on the 18th floor or something. But but it's to have something in there. I dig it. I like, again, this is symmetry, architecture and symmetry. This is really cool, which plays very well with our brains.
Yeah, I do. I wish that it had more balance in that it feels it's rotated to the left a little bit, which makes it feel a little bit disjointed. And, if Peter had stepped a little bit to the right, if he could, and then, change the angle of the camera so the horizon was horizontal, which would be that floor that's flat in the back, that could really change the impact of this. So,
yeah, I agree.
Peter's going to have to shoot it again when he's there.
Yeah. Peter, you got to let us know in the comments on this post where this was shot. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't even know. I've seen it before, but I don't know where it is.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Next up is Karen Sweeney, converging lines. There you go. Converging versus intersecting.
Yes. Wow, this is interesting. This is really cool.
Yeah, what is going on here? How was this created? Is this a photograph or is this a render?
It feels, I mean, like, I have to look at it like, if it's a render, then I'm not really sure what it is. But as a photograph, it looks like they were spun or they were moved in a way to create that blur, which I think is just very, very creative.
It is. It's super cool. I've never seen a triptych like this before. It's very...
No, and if that's like a Rubik's Cube and all the colors are the same, how do you solve that? Or maybe you can't, you don't have to, right? Because it always looks solved. So
no, it won't. Yeah. Oh, that would be the world's most frustrating Rubik's Cube right there. Holy crap.
Maybe the sides are colored or something, but yeah. I dig it. This is just a really interesting abstract to look at. The colors are wonderful. I love the fact that we have the motion in the far, the middle one and the left one with a little bit different pattern. Then on the right one, we have this, still object. I'm not sure how it's created. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm looking at, but yet it's presented in a way that is appealing, right? It's neat. It's art and it's fun to look at. My only thing that bugs me is the corners of the cube are not perfectly vertical. They're not lined up. And I just wish they were lined up.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah. The thing that got me, again, my brain wants symmetry. I'd want that right cube in the middle and this one on the right, or just have this one because I want it flanked by the things that are in motion. And these have a very similar color palette, and I'd want that because it would feel more balanced if the cube were in the middle.
Oh, true. No, okay, that's a good yeah, that's a good sense, to kind of change it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool shot though. What do you think of the border treatment on this? Good.
It's nice. Yeah, it's all nice. Yeah, very well done. Very subtle. Yep. Very gentle. Yep. Very, very good usage.
Yeah, I can see this. This wants to be printed big. All right.
Everything deserves to be printed big.
Yes. All right. Mark Charette's up next. Let's see. What did Mark say about this one? He says, the Crooked Tailor. Oh, yeah, I read this last night. The Crooked Tailor, that restaurant at the intersection, reached a point of convergence where nobody connects anymore. 3-to-1 crop from a virtual tour of one of the restaurants that didn't make it through.
Oh, bummer. I was just going to say, this place looks really cool.
It does.
This looks like a nice place.
Yeah. Looks like they have good food. It looks like a place where you could get a good steak.
I really like this perspective, and I know that Mark is really intentional about where he places his camera and how he does this. But it's so wonderful that I can look right down that table and then look to my left, and I'm looking right out the door. It gives me this amazing sense of space and how big it is, and even the color temperature difference. For the left out the door makes me feel like it's outside. Right, like maybe it's in an atrium or it's in something like that. And then the inside is that little cozier, warm sense. So, and of course, verticals are vertical. It's awesome. I wish it was still there.
Yep. But hey, from the ashes come new things. Right. So maybe the next thing will be awesome too. Right. Very cool shot. Yeah, I have nothing to add on this one. This one looks really cool, and I love the fact that Mark. He's an expert, obviously, at 360-degree photography, but is just using this as the unfolded version in a regular still photograph to accentuate the distortion of that fisheye. It's really cool.
Yeah, it works great. And this is one of those instances where we know that this isn't actually how we see in reality, right? Our eyes don't see this way. However, it's easy for us to interpret it and look at it and sort of take it all in because we know that it's a wide angle. We can look into the booths and we can see the space. Like if I was going to go sit down, then we can look out the window or out the doorway. The menus sitting on the tables, like it all works, even though it's, a panoramic and it's got some distortion in it. Still works. It's great.
Yeah. I wonder if this is how flies see.
I don't know how flies see. I've never thought about that before. So,
what's the matter with you? Come on, everybody thinks about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right, buddy.
I'm curious. I mean, compound eyes. Come on. Do they Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. This is where I'm going with this. Like with compound eyes, which are a bunch of different lenses in there, does the fly's brain see all the individual images, or does the brain stitch them together into something that looks more like what Mark's shot looks like? I don't know. Come on. That doesn't make you think. Come on. Where's your nerd brain? You're too cool.
I think what my cats, I try to think about what my cats see, but I had never thought about a fly.
Yes. Yeah, because they're hard to hit. You can't sneak up on a fly because they can see you coming like this. Have you ever tried to sneak up on a fly? You can't do it. Although I do have a fly gun. You ever seen those fly guns?
Yeah, the salt guns. Yeah.
Yes, I got one. I love it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Mark Charette. All right. Next shot up is from Craig Stampley. He talked about this shot at the mixer. My take on converging lines with inspiration blatantly stolen from Craig Colvin. Look at that.
Nice.
It's not
nice. Now,
stealing.
this actually has converging and intersecting lines.
Yes. Yes.
Which is very interesting.
And I would argue this is not theft. This is inspiration. You were inspired by Craig Colvin.
Yes, very true. Very true. No, this is really cool. I love the background. It looks like it was projected, I'm guessing. Yeah, because it goes over the model a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, I like this.
I'm looking, I look at it and I like it and I like the symmetry and I love the vertical form. I like how the legs are creating like this natural arch and we've got this sort of unnatural human position, which I think is really, really cool. I wish the top of the head wasn't, like had seams in it. I just wish that was like, a nice, perfectly smooth where the lines intersected properly.
Oh yeah. Right.
But that's just my brain working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is cool. I looked at this and I thought, alien. This is like an alien, a three-legged alien. That's where my brain goes. Sorry. It's like, and I like the grid. I love the grid. I love that. Yeah, the projection. This is creative on a ton of different levels and very well executed with the lighting. Looks like, how many lights you think? Maybe one in a fill, or just one with a projector?
Yeah, I'm looking at the lighting right now because what I would really love to see with this lighting is it seems obvious to me that the lighting is up to our left. Because the arm that's vertical is the brightest as it comes down into the body, and that's where the light is falling. And it's obvious. With light like that, the right leg or camera right is going to be darker than camera left. Mm-hmm. But I would really love to see more light coming in and separating from the background and letting that subject pop off a lot more, as opposed to, we have this light off to the left and it's obviously everything's coming from that direction. So
like either a backlight or a rim light or hatchet lighting, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's something more sophisticated in the sense that, you've got multiple lights filling in the shadows in the space, and then you adjust them and you create shadows where you need them to accent your subject, as opposed to this is just a result of the location of the light, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Make the lighting far more intentional. So if you look at this subject and I say to myself, well, do I want the vertical arm to be the brightest? Is that what I want the scene to be lit by? Do I want the camera left, her right torso, or his right torso to be lit? Or would I like the hands and the feet to be more lit, or maybe equally? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Interesting, but interesting concept too. Yeah, I'd be interested, Craig, to see some of the other shots from this series, because I'm guessing you didn't just shoot this one. I'd love to see some of the other ones.
Yeah, really it's very interesting. I mean, even the background, the way that you've got the top left corner of the grid is sharp, and the top right and lower left, and they're not. So that to me feels like shallow depth of field, which is interesting on how this is done, because I'm not quite sure how the background. It looks like it was on a cove or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It was on a white cove and projected. Really cool. But just the fact that we're sitting here oogling at this shot, right?
Yep.
Means it's successful.
Absolutely.
It's thought-provoking for sure.
What would have been really cool is to have something like a flower or, an apple or something sitting on the ground, and the subject is in the same exact pose, except picking up something.
Oh, right. Like pattern interrupted. Yeah. Like, so yeah, completing the story of why is this person in this position? Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very theatrical. Ooh, I dropped my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Love it. Cool. Craig, thank you.
Yeah. Great job, Craig. All right. So Colvin, now you've got, he's raised the ante. Stampley's raised the ante. Colvin, now it's your turn. Let's
see it. Colvin, don't be afraid, man. Jump in. All right. Michael Brown's up next. He says lines in Marietta Square. Okay. Bring it on up. Come on, Mighty. You can do it. Okay. There we go. Cool. So this is converging, right?
Yes. Yeah. These would be converging lines. The street lines would be intersecting lines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's lots of lines now. We look around. There's the poles and but what a fun angle. I like this. I like this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This is cool. Marietta Square. Where is that?
Yeah, that's not in Southern California. I don't think. Not in Marietta that I'm familiar with.
Mm-mm.
I do think that I don't know that I'm a huge fan of the buildings in the sense that I feel like they're rather busy. And if it was to be cropped where they were cropped out and you would get just the abstract of the cobblestones and the street would be really fun. And you could have held the camera, high over your head and tilted it down to focus just on the street and then to make it even more graphical, right?
Yeah.
You can see more of that street.
I agree. Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, because we get all this high frequency out here. We get drawn into that, and we're like, okay, what's going on? What's that restaurant, Max? That might look good. Oh, they got a flag out. What kind of food did they serve? Oh, red umbrella. Look at that. Oh, there's red umbrellas on the left side too. Whether just cut all that distraction out. If the subject of this is these lines and the geometry of the lines on the ground, then get rid of that other stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, in the context of the theme, we want to see something that's a little bit more graphical. And I don't know, I'm looking at the bricks, like on the right-hand side, some of the bricks look soft. And I'm wondering if that's something with the lens or if there was some Photoshop work that was done in there, to remove something.
Yeah.
By that vertical. Yeah, just caught my eye. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. But yeah, there's some crisp ones next to some soft ones.
But kudos to Michael on the intentionality on the symmetry, right? Because he's got the same amount of building on the left, same amount of building on the right. The middle is dead center. Even these bricks on the bottom left and right are intentional. It's 100% intentional. This was not just a snapshot.
Yep.
He thought about this before he took this photo.
Yes. Yeah. Point well made. Yeah. That's true.
Good job. Cool. Thank you, Michael.
See, so many good ones.
All right. Okay. Atlanta, Georgia. So this is in Atlanta, I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. I guess we just have to read all the words.
Yeah, exactly. All the words. Michael Rhino is up next. He says, my converging lines photo is the sunrise image from the Millennium Bridge in downtown Denver.
Well, now, strong converging lines on the pole and strong intersecting lines on the building.
Yes.
So,
yep.
So never know the definition of those.
I know. You're gonna walk around. Everyone's gonna walk around looking at converging versus intersecting.
Yeah, this is really great. I'm just playing with some cropping. First of all, I really dig the image, and I like how it's layered. We've got the vertical lines of the building, which I think is tilted a little bit to the left. And then I like, the sort of the abstract nature of the spidery type, lines going off that pole, which I think is for a bridge. I would probably crop up from the bottom, to kind of clean up. I don't think we need that guardrail, and looks like there's a little box or like a door or something in the lower left corner. Like I would probably crop up and really really simplify, the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I wouldn't crop the top off.
Yeah, because that blue is really interesting, and even the building. We tend to look at the words and read them, but I like the words here because it gives it a sense of place.
Yeah. But it does, and it could just be an optical illusion, but it feels like the building is rotated to the left slightly.
Yeah, I think it's just
corner.
It's the convert. It's the what's the mathematical term for that? When you have when you use a wide angle lens and point it up and the lines converge like
convergence.
That. No, it's something else. Oh, that's what I'm going for. You need a rectilinear lens, right, in order to straighten out those lines and make it out architectural. But if you did that, I think that would take away from what he's trying to show here. And that's he's trying to obviously accentuate the architecture and the lines, and the distortion is part of the image. So you wouldn't want to take that away.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just one recommendation is to, be gentle on using clarity and dehaze. You can see there's some glow around the lines, especially at the top. That's usually an artifact of something like sharpening or clarity and dehaze being pushed too far. Mm-hmm. And then along the right edge of the roof of the building, you can see there's a line, a halo between the building and the sky.
Yeah.
Light line. Yeah. And that basically what that is, that's mid-contrast being separated to try to create perceived sharpness or contrast. And within a subject, it's usually very well hidden, like you normally don't see it. But anytime that you have things against a smooth color or an open sky or something like that, you start to see the halos.
Okay, interesting. Now, you can get around that? So, is it possible to get around that in Lightroom, or is that a Capture One? Do you need the power of Capture One to do something like that? To avoid getting that halo?
They all handle the different images differently. So it's not like one tool is going to be better all the time. I think what it really comes down to is just watch it in your image, take the slider too far and then bring it back. If you need additional sharpening, actually go in and maybe mask an area and, sharpen the masked area, or don't sharpen the masked area. In this case, what you could do is you could easily select the building or select out the sky and then sharpen just the interior of the building, because that slider, the clarity or the sharpening or dehaze, was overall applied to the image, not just within the subject. So you could do that with a brush, and I think that they would both do it well. The benefit of using like Capture One is you could do an amazing color selection and create a mask from that.
Yeah,
cool shot. You just gotta watch that.
Yeah, cool shot though. I get the feeling Michael Rhino is up early a lot. A lot of his shots are taken in the wee hours when I know people like you and I are still like in the fetal position. He's out there taking pictures.
No.
Love it.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Thank you, Michael Rhino. Next up, Eric Ponsky says, Lone Tree at sunrise, image taken in Death Valley. I liked all the lines in the sand going in directions to lead one's eye towards a tree. Please comment on the 16:9 crop. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love the dunes. I mean, I've ridden on them for 2 decades, so I just love being out there and love walking and hiking in them as well. So in
Death Valley, really?
Well, you can hike in Death Valley. You can't ride your bike there, but there's other places like Glamis and Pismo Beach and stuff. But dunes are dunes. They're just amazing. I really love the subtle tones and the subtle patterns in this, and the fact that they converge on that tree, that focal point. I love that. And I think the crop is great. I don't know. What do you think, Frederick? I mean, do you like that format?
I do. I really like 16:9. In fact, for a vista like this, going even a little bit wider beyond 16:9, maybe 9 by whatever, just to stretch it out a little bit longer would accentuate the fact that these dunes are vast. But even at 16 by 9 like this, I like it. And I like the effort towards, cropping for converging lines. It's intentional to have the lines converge on that tree right there. And the tree is placed pretty much in a rule of thirds intersection down there. So yeah, really, really cool. I love the composition is really tight.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the tree is a little bit brighter, like in the center of the tree. And I'm hoping that looks to me like it could be natural sunlight. Some of the other branches are a little darker green, and I don't know if we can lighten those at all, or if that's just naturally the way this was. But I like the fact that it's popping out from the background, and it feels very natural. So
yeah, really good shot. Very nice. Yeah, I like the muted colors too are nice.
Right. And I was going to say, this isn't really going to work well in black and white unless you really, really get in there and push contrast. Because all these tones are fairly similar. We don't have a lot of contrast. So, but it may be interesting to see, because those branches that are coming out of the ground and stuff may pop more, being that highlight that they are. But yeah,
and you could do some, depending on how much work you wanted to do on the image, you could do some work where you create different zones. Like you could have the tree, select the tree so that you could work on that and maybe pop its contrast a little bit, and then have a different value for these back dunes versus this middle dune versus this foreground dune, so that you'd have layered separation there with a tree that pops out in the middle. So if you wanted to put that much work into it and push it into the black and white realm, it's completely possible to do that, or just leave it like this and roll with it.
Yeah, I would have to try black and white though, because it's a landscape. I mean,
of course. Yeah. Speaking of black and white, what would infrared have done in this situation? What would that look like?
So I'm assuming that we have some sunlight that's falling on our subject, and then the background dunes look like there's slightly more shadow. So what that would have done is that would have created more contrast within the image, meaning that the sunlit areas would have exposed brighter, right, proper exposure, and the shadowed areas would have gone darker because there's less infrared light there. So we could have gotten a really amazing separation between that tree and the background dunes.
What about the dune ridges? Because see the little shadows that create the ridges in the dunes? Would that have been more accentuated? Because it is highlight and shadow there, right?
Yeah, the front dune, maybe. It's hard to say. It depends on how much natural infrared light is there. But I'm going to guess just by looking at this that the front dune has more light on it than the back dunes. So the back dunes may blend together more. So you may lose that fine line. That's the wonder of shooting infrared, is that you literally just have to lift it up to your eye and look through it, because the way light plays off of things, sometimes it's unpredictable how cool it can be.
Yeah. Very cool. All right.
But always infrared.
Yeah, always. All right. Next up is Nora Xenotenous. Nora says, intersecting lines. Goat's beard leaves and stem remind me of the flow of a Japanese character. Yeah, it totally does. It looks like kanji.
Yeah. That is so cool.
It totally looks, not as she says that, I can't not see that. It looks like a kanji character.
Yeah. I just love looking at it. I don't really have a lot to add.
Yeah, even the sloppy border. Look at the sloppy border works with this. It works really well with the organic shape.
Yeah. So two minor things. One, I wouldn't allow the leaf or the branch to touch the frame on the lower right hand corner. I would have found some way to edit that and bring that branch back up into the frame so it was a reasonable distance from that corner. Pretty easy to do with a white background. I don't think it needs to touch the frame. And the top half of it kind of leans to the left, but I was going to say I might fix that, but I I don't think so, because I like that organicness of it. It makes it feel like it's.
Yeah, I think it needs to lean. I think, if it was too straight, then it would, I think it'd be different because it would feel too rigid, and less organic. I like the slight imperfection, if you want to call it that, bend in there, that's then supported by all the random leaves around it. I agree with you 100%. This piece right here, definitely, pull that away from the edge. Probably pull this away from the edge about the same amount of distance that this one at the top left is, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and I love how it's lit. It has a very interesting lighting pattern. It could have been a window, it could be artificial light, but I do like it because there is some translucency. It appears to be some translucency, like in that top leaf. So it really gives us a sense of space and the naturalism. I wonder though, is the top half of that, is that a vignette to darken the branch? Because I might lighten it so it feels like more of a natural fall off, leaving the frame, as opposed to the top portion is really dark and then it fades into light.
Yeah, I wonder because we're dark here too at this bottom leaf as well. Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah, it may be, it may not be. I mean, it's not even a huge distraction, but those are things that, I look at as I'm editing my own work, is like, okay, do I have the composition? Okay, does the light look intentional? Is the bright spot where I want everybody to look? In that lower section of the leaf, you can see the stem is the brightest part. Like, do I want that to be the brightest part? And then I play through that to see, how I might adjust it. So I'm always looking at light where light's falling.
Yeah, no, of course, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I'm pointing at the screen, and you can't see me. Just burn that.
I can see you. They can't see you.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I wonder what character this is closest to in kanji or katakana. I'm curious now. I wonder if you could feed it into Google and have Google translate that. Raphael Timber Geek Swift says intersecting lines on an arched footbridge at Minnewaska State Park Preserve, shot with his Nikon D5500 kit. Let's take a look. That's cool.
Wow, what a neat place.
Did your wedding photographer brain think that there needs to be a bride? Needs to be a bride on this bridge.
So many things you could do there. Yeah. And an infrared, of course.
Oh yeah. Oh, right. Because all that foliage would go bright white, right?
Yep. Yeah, and this would be really good, like in evening light too. So one of the things I was going to say is, great capture, great perspective. I love this angle, but it's overexposed, and it's probably not the best time of day for the lighting on this. So you've got all that speckled light, coming in, hitting that bridge. Bring the tone down. If there's detail in that bridge, bring it way down so the highlight's properly exposed, and let everything else go dark. That's okay. You don't need to brighten everything up because it's really about that bridge. But I would imagine that in a softer light, that bridge is really going to pop because it's already a lighter color than the surrounding trees and the shadows in the trees and stuff. So
would you composition and cropping wise, the only thing that I'm looking at here is this dirt trap right here at the bottom.
Right.
Like, does that bother you? Would you have cropped that up, or like how would you handle that if this was your shot?
I would have moved around a little bit more. Like, I would have moved to the right, and I would have knelt down, which would have gotten closer to the ground, which would have made me lift the camera, and would have gotten rid of most of that ground. Or maybe there was a bush or something that I could have put in the foreground. But I would definitely consider moving to the right and maybe kneeling down a little bit, and then the bridge itself would disappear into the trees, as opposed to actually seeing the ground on the other side. It would have this sense of disappearing into the forest.
Yeah, bridge to nowhere.
Yeah. But I mean, a very cool subject, and certainly fits the theme. I would be making an effort to photograph this more often. I mean, I don't know how much he photographs it now, but I would definitely revisit this.
Yeah, this is cool. I wonder if there's water down there under the bridge.
Could be a troll.
Could be a troll. Could be a troll down there. Yeah, there's a troll under that bridge making mean internet posts. Oh, love it. All right. Thank you, Raphael. All right. Up next is Joshua Sommerfeldt. He says, she made her house out of intersecting lines, shot with his Canon EOS RP with a Sigma 150mm lens at 2.8. Let's take a look. Wow. This is cool. This is just... This is cool. I don't want to see this in real life, but this is really cool to look at in a photo.
You know, I actually, you know, we see a lot of Joshua spiders, and they're just wonderfully edited, and they're amazing. And I see, like, you know, well, I see 4 of the eyes. I don't know where the other eyes are, but they even have little catch lights. Mm-hmm. You know, I love the fact that the highlight detail is drawing us right into the spider, you know, right into the head, the main body. We can see all of that wonderful face on the back of the spider. And mm-hmm. I just love that. I want to see what this looks like in person so I can relate, you know, I can see the difference between the two.
And scale too, right? You want to see scale?
Scale, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things I really enjoyed about this image wasn't necessarily the spider itself, but how the spider is holding onto the web, and I can actually see the tension that the spider is putting.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So cool.
Yeah. You never see that. I think that might be the first time I've seen that. I mean, we see spiders on spider webs all the time, but this one looks like it was literally posing for Joshua to get this shot. Right. And the spider's like, hey, you know what? You know what'd be cool if I pull on this a little bit just to add a little tension? Would that be good? And this arm, I'll pull this one right here. And yeah, okay, ready? Go.
Yeah, ready, go. Yeah, ready, go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a cool shot.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, this is truly amazing. And I think what's really wonderful about this, again, is because we have that web in the background that's really sort of creating the supporting character for us, you know. And although we know they're spiders and we know spiders live in webs, but this is delicate, and mm-hmm. it's a good balance. Yeah.
And this is the definition of intersecting lines right here.
Oh yeah, there's converging lines and intersecting lines and horizontal lines. Like, this is all about lines.
Yep. Made of that super strong web too.
Love it.
All right. Very cool. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for sharing that. That is an amazing shot.
So many good ones.
Up next is Stephen Scharf, Convergence. Apologies for the double pose. Tried to move this photo from the area show and tell to general. Okay. All right.
Yeah. This is, I think I was there with Stephen when I visited. I don't remember what the name of the building is.
Oh, this is the Civic Center, downtown San Jose?
Civic Center. Yeah, I think this is the Civic Center. Yeah. What an amazing building. Oh my gosh. It's all like polished stainless steel and just beautiful. There's so many things. We were there for like 2 hours or longer, just walking around and photographing. There's so much to see there. This is a really spectacular angle. This is great. So much stuff to look at in here.
Yeah, this is just architecture rich and geometry rich.
Right, and it really speaks to the idea that you don't have to have blatantly identifying components or subject matter. You can have things completely abstract or mostly abstract or slightly abstract, right? Like just mm-hmm. little pieces.
Yeah. And it's a testament to the photographer to see this, because a lot of people, strangely enough, just can't see this kind of thing, right? They can't see the art within the art, or the art within architecture or patterns, or, you know, it's interesting. You know, I know a lot of people that would not even, that can't grok this kind of shot.
No, and one of the things that I learned, I learned to be a portrait photographer and a wedding photographer first, not a landscape photographer, but through friends of mine that were landscape photographers, they taught me to see landscapes. And then I learned how to put subjects in the landscape. as opposed to just allowing the landscape to just, coexist, right? Like it's just there. And when you can start to see the shapes and the patterns, and you can walk around, take your time, this stuff is everywhere. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And this place is big, and this is not an easy thing to see. One, because it's big and vast, but two, there's so many things distracting you that look cool. It's a good exercise in patience, which I'm not known for.
No. And this one, I love the crop of this too. The square crop. I think it's square, right? The square crop and the thick, heavy black border, which pulls out the darks in the image as well. It kind of ties it all together. Instead of just like, oh, okay, here's a great shot, and let me put a border on it. This looks like border is 100% intentional. And classic Stephen Scharf, the lines are right? The vertical lines are vertical. So it's not gonna, like those, if these vertical lines over here were tilted slightly, it would instantly play havoc with our sort of aesthetic centers in the brain. But because they're correct, it all flows together.
Yeah, I just as I'm looking at this, I really enjoy it. My only suggestion is I'm thinking like, man, I've got to say something. I got to come up with like, what can I say, right? Like there's not a lot, but I do think a little crop from the top and a little crop from the right. And the reason I say a little crop from the top is because you've got that little white panel that's in the top sort of left-hand corner next to the curve.
In here? Right there?
No, up to the right a little bit. Go to the right. Right there. Yeah. See, if you crop down, you can crop that out. And then to keep the square, crop a tiny bit in from the right. So it would be ever so slight. To me, that feels a little bit cleaner, because now you have a dark window area now next to the border, and then you make it square. But that's about it. Other than that, it's got so much going on.
Man, it is a cool shot. It's very cool. And it would have been interesting, like, there's so much you could do here, right? I mean, you just leave it as is, but a human in here somewhere for scale would have added a different dimension to it. Just like if these are windows, there's a person in the window, your brain would instantly say, oh, this is huge, or oh, this is small, right? Just for scale. But even like this is great. This is a great shot.
Yeah, and when you're shooting out, and this looks like it's in direct sunlight, which makes me think that the left side, the underneath side of that, curved support should be really dark. So, if you want to go with that HDR look, that's great. If you want to have detail in all the shadows, but don't be afraid to let the shadows go super dark. You can get more contrast, and it works. Especially when you're outside the sunlight, you can definitely do that, and I think that would look good.
And a lot of times we're afraid of that, right? I mean, we're taught that in order for an image to be, quote, correct, that there needs to be detail in the shadows and the highlights, right? You don't want to blow your highlights, and your shadows should have a little bit of detail in there and you're saying not necessarily so. Maybe even on the highlight side, sometimes it's okay to have a blown highlight, and sometimes it's okay to have a shadow with no detail in it, if that's the purpose of the image, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, don't be afraid to do that.
All right, Stephen, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. And that was it. That's it from this crop. Yeah. So what do you think? You have any favorites that pop out? I have my favorite. I think we know what our favorite is because we both talked about it. But
I'm a huge fan of the spider.
Yeah.
I just you've got that graphic element of the lines of the web, and then you have a creature in there, which you've got that organic nature process. I love the composition of these, how they work together.
Yeah, I agree. It pulls me in. And it's it's a lot of work to get this shot, and B, I'm sure it was a lot of work to make that web too. so
yeah,
looking for dinner. Look at that. Look at the little hairs on the legs too. It's just like, wow. Like, what are those
And
for?
kudos to everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, kudos to everybody that submitted this for this round. These are just stunning images. And there was not a bad shot in the entire bunch of shots. I'm just scrolling back through here. Just not a bad shot in the bunch. Amazing stuff. So we have a. Do you want to reveal what the critique topic is for July 12th at noon Pacific?
I'm giving you a hint.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint too. So yeah. I should be using my Miller mug. I'm using my Miller mug.
Yeah, where's your Miller mug?
It's in the cabinet.
It's going to be cups or mugs.
Cups or mugs. Wait, hold on. Wait, that's a screenshot. Wait. Hold it up again. Hold it up. Give us a shot. There you go. That's a screenshot right there. Okay. Nice. Cups or mugs for July 12th. Very cool. That should be interesting. I want to see what people do with that.
Something you should have, and something that you have an opportunity to be creative with. You know?
Yeah. Everybody's got one. If you don't have one, you can go into a store and just take a picture of one in the store. Do a photo shoot. And it has to be a cup or a mug, right? Not someone's mug.
Yes, a utilitarian liquid holding device.
There you go. And however you want to interpret that in photographic terms.
Right. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Troy Miller. Thank you very much. Once again, it's been a pleasure. Any parting thoughts before we end this one?
Be safe and go outside. Look at the moon or the stars, and hang out with people, but be safe. Yeah, we're still in challenging times, right? We all need to be safe and get through this. So
absolutely. Yeah. My parting thoughts would be what he said, but be kind to each other and make photographs. That's it. That's the meaning of life. Be kind to each other and make photographs and share them. Don't just make them, share them. So, all right, man. We'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody, for submitting. Can't wait to see what you guys share inside of the General Photo Critiques group inside of TWiP Pro for the next critique, like I said, which is going to be on the 12th of July. And if we don't see you, have a good 4th of July if you're here in the United States and you celebrate that sort of thing. So enjoy your 4th. I will be barbecuing. Family will be here, eating good food and drinking and listening to music and watching fireworks and lighting things up without hopefully burning anything down. Troy, this has got to be your favorite holiday of the year, right? Mr. Pyro over there.
It would be if it was legal for me to do that stuff. So because I don't want to burn down my house or anybody else's, I usually, unless we're in the desert, then I don't partake. I usually behave. But if we're in the desert, I have lots of things that I burn and blow up.
Wait, fireworks aren't illegal down there? They sell fireworks everywhere. You can firecrackers, sparklers, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to play with sparklers.
You know what? Painting with light. I'm just saying, set up a tripod, sparkler,
Look, if you don't need to stand back at least 20 feet, it's not worth lighting on. So
it's like, if there's no concussion wave, it's not worth my time.
Right. Yeah. Grab the small children, the dogs, everybody hold on to your beverage. Then it's worth lighting.
If car alarms 3 blocks over aren't triggered, it's not worth it. I got you. All right, man. You take care. Be safe. And we'll see you next time.
This is TWiP.